All right, so this is the Agents of Mayhem review. So, like all my reviews, I start with a preamble. This is the preamble about Agents of Mayhem, a game that came out last month, and I'm really enjoying this game. It's very fun. Like all my reviews, I do not give numerical scores or letter grades. I basically tell you my experience with the game and whether or not I think it's worth it, and what audience might appreciate it or might not appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get into the review, where I'll go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of the game, and then at the end, I'll also give you upcoming information and events on the channel. So with that being said, peace. Let's get into the review. Okay, so here's the good. Agents of Mayhem is a fun game. It really is. It's really enjoyable. The various activities you'll do in the game for the first few times are varied and enjoyable, and Seoul, where the game takes place, is interesting. Now, the story of the game takes place in an alternate reality of the Saints Row universe, where basically the Third Street Saints were never guided by the player from Saints Row, Saints Row 2, Saints Row 3, Saints Row 4, and Get Out of Hell. So basically, those events never happened. But the Third Street Saints exist. Right now I'm playing as Kingpin, who's basically Pierce from Saints Row, who's literally, he's Pierce from Saints Row. He's basically, he takes the place of the player, where he united the gangs, except instead of using extreme violence, he just used a lot of money. So the game is very fun. It has really interesting characters. Since this game is character driven, you have to talk about the characters. And there's a decent array of characters to appeal to all groups. There's homosexual characters, there's young characters, older characters, handy, capable characters. There's a guy with one eye. Basically, if I had to sum up this game, it's essentially, at its core, it's a M-rated G.I. Joe. Okay, it is essentially an M-rated G.I. Joe. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with an M-rated G.I. Joe. Now, another really good thing about this game is it's the gameplay. The mechanics of getting around the city are great. The traversal, each character has their own double jump or triple jump, and how they utilize these abilities are really interesting. Funny note, this game I think used a lot of assets from the Saints Row games are in this game. A lot of the same vehicles, and some of the character models are definitely from Saints Row. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, it's just a little, I know this game was made on a budget, but goddamn. But overall, yeah, this is a very good game, and it's damn fun. And let's see, what other thing that, it's got a lot of good stuff in it. And the actual mechanics, like the combat mechanics, are really fun too. Now, and when I say the combat mechanics are good, they are really good. The shooter gameplay has never been this good in a Saints Row style game. It's always been very kind of loose, kind of whatever it is. But this game makes it kind of fun, and mostly I think it's because of the auto lock, which makes kind of strafing, you can actually strafe enemies and stuff like that. So with that being said, let's move on to the bad after the cut. Okay, so we're back. Now we're on to the bad. Now, the bad of this game, I said earlier in the good that the little activities and missions that you can do in the game are fun in the beginning, the first few times you do them. Here's the problem. After a while, this gets boring. Okay? Now, it's especially boring for me because I maxed out my characters early on, because there's a character in the game that basically when she's in your squad, her passive ability is that one of her passive abilities that you can level up is that she basically increases how much XP everyone gets. So basically, like, just taking her on missions with two of the agents that were under leveled basically leveled up, like, I leveled up everybody by the end of the game by a huge amount. Like, everyone was friggin' OP. So, with that being said, the game gets very repetitive. The activities get very repetitive. Driving in this game is kind of a waste of time because essentially, when you drive in this game, it gets really fucking just like the default civilian cars suck, and the really good agency vehicles that are good, you can't use them for most of the missions where you have to get a vehicle. Like in order to get parts and blueprints for for your agency vehicles, you have to actually steal these civilian vehicles. And when that happens, the villains use their superpowered cars to run you off the road. And I mean, it's really dumb AI, because if you throw on your brakes, they'll overshoot you and like do no damage. So even the driving kind of sucks. Sadly, I mean, and driving ironically, driving in Saints Row games has been good for a while. So why would it suck now? I have no idea. But yeah, this game, it's kind of the weakness of the title is that it kind of it gets very repetitive. I just recently beat it. I'm not showing any footage of the end of the game, but this was recorded about the last third of the game, basically. And the game is very, very, it gets really fucking repetitive. Because, and this is where the game is, like I said, very bad, is one of the things of the game is that basically in Seoul, the bad guys essentially, the Legion, essentially, these are the bad guys of the game, Legion. They're the Cobra to agents of Mayhem's G.I. Joe. The Legion's big thing is that they essentially they attack the city. They build super weapons that they use to attack you and drop in reinforcements and stuff like that. The problem is that, essentially speaking, every time you go back to the Ark, which is your main hub area, the fuckers keep on regenerating. So essentially, you can never get ahead. Now I know why they did that, because so you could still have stuff to do. But the problem is that what it does is it de-incentivizes you to actually do any of the activities once you level up. If you don't want to be constantly harassed, once you beat the game, you have no reason to really do any of it, which kind of brings the game down a bit, in my opinion. Also, while there are some really cool characters in the game that like you want to learn more about, good luck, because you ain't learning shit. You'll learn nothing else about these characters. You won't learn their hopes, their dreams, their hates, their aspirations. Not a goddamn thing. It's like, wow, this is a really interesting character. I'd like to know more. There's a guy named Hardtack in the game who has this teleporting harpoon that he can basically throw at enemies and teleport them. You can later modify it to like make them explode or to put a debuff on them. Some really cool stuff. You know what you do in this? And he has an eye that's missing. It's like, wow, it's really interesting that this dude is missing an eye. And you know what? And you literally don't know how he lost his eye. There's no type of, like, you get nothing out of it. Like, there's no friggin', like really interesting characters. You learn nothing about them. They become basically caricatures of G.I. Joe characters, but with no backstory. And say whatever you want to about G.I. Joe, they were always really big about basically talking about the backstory of a lot of those characters. This game, not so much. So the repetitiveness of the game kind of really wears on you after a while, and the fact that you never really feel any progression in the overall world. Yes, you feel progression because your characters are becoming more powerful. You have access to better abilities. It's easier for you to take out enemies. But like, it's like, wow, I've basically taken over all 4 outposts of the enemy. There should be something cool about this. Nope, nope, not a goddamn thing. Because as soon as you go to the Ark, almost all of your stuff is wiped out. I just basically cleared like 4 outposts, which is how you make money. You clear these outposts where you can basically like make a lot of cash or whatever. Oh, well, guess what? As soon as you go to the Ark, you can't. You're done. You can't go there. So I mean, the game is very. It's kind of bad about that. So that being said, let's move on to the next cut, which is the ugly. Alright, and we got to talk about the ugly after this. So now we get into the ugly of the game, which, I mean, we got to talk about it. The ugly of the game is that this game is essentially, this game feels like a cheaper budget version of Saints Row without any of the character creation or the kind of the humor. Because the game has a few funny moments, but it's not funny because it's trying to be funny. It's funny because they were like, well, shit, let's try a crass joke. But overall, not that hilarious. So, should you get this game? Well, if you're looking for a fun game, then you just want to, kill some shit, this game is perfect. If you want to play a game like this and basically not have things be kind of stupid, then my advice is to get this game on once it goes on sale. Don't get it. Don't get this game when it's not on sale. that's my advice. Get it when it's on sale. You'll be much happier. So, with that being said, who is this game for? This game is for someone who just wants to have mindless fun. It's just you sit down, you put the game in, or you boot it up if you have it on PC, or if you downloaded it. Actually, I guess you boot it up on anything, really. Essentially, this game is very, it's fun. It has its sense of humor, but it's not really, it's not the best game ever. But it's fun, it's enjoyable, the gameplay is relatively tight, if a little repetitive. But if you just want to play a game, have the time of your life, blow some shit up, shoot some people, this is the game you're looking for. And, it's your choice. Now, with that being said, we have one more segment to get to, which is upcoming events. So, with that, peace. Stay tuned to the next segment, upcoming events, and with that, we'll get to that after the cut. Alright, we're back. So, these are the upcoming events that are coming to the channel. So, this Saturday we have at 7 to 8:30 we have the Sci-Fi Power Hour, which will be focusing on Star Wars. Now I know Star Wars really isn't science fiction in the strictest sense, but it has a lot of science fiction aspects to it, so we'll talk about it. On top of that, we also this Sunday we'll be doing a BS Busters about, well, the news that came out this week. LA Noire coming to the Switch, a Rockstar game coming to the Switch. How I personally feel about that, how the panelists feel about that, and what other third-party support would we like to see come to the system. Fun stuff like that. On top of that, we'll also go over, other news of the week that escapes my mind right now because, it's, what's interesting to me might not be interesting to you. So, look forward to that. The next Sci-Fi Power Hour is coming next week. It will be the same time, Saturday at 7 to 8:30, and it's going to be about, well, DC versus Marvel. Now, we aren't going to be talking about Batman or Superman or anything like that. We're going to be talking about franchises that have been done wrong on both sides of the coin, and how we'd like to see them be brought back. So, if you're a DC or Marvel comic book fan, or like the IP, the intellectual properties associated with those two groups of comic book houses, I would like for you to join. If you want to talk comic books or characters or your favorite IPs or whatever. But once again, keep in mind, this Sci-Fi Power Hour will focus primarily on IPs that have been done dirty, or that we would like to see brought back, or a TV show, a video game, anything really. So with that being said, and of course we have a BS Busters every week, more often than not. So look forward to that one. So, yes. Tomorrow I will be doing a review of Stephen King's It, because I will be seeing Stephen King's It tomorrow. So look forward to that review, and all that fun stuff. I'll be uploading it tomorrow as well. So look forward to that sometime tomorrow afternoon or evening, whatever. So with that being said, peace out and good day.